book, even though you probably... Sorry, I don't know what I'm saying. Okay. Hi, I'm Dolly, but you can call me Dabz. So today I'm reviewing The 21 Balloons by William Pene Du Bois. So I usually say something here, but there's nothing to say. Oh, this book I read during our short little camping trip, which there's a vlog of. You guys should go check that out if you're interested. And I actually didn't finish it during the camping trip. I read like 30 pages or something, and then I finished the rest of it at home. And it was pretty short. It's small pages, short, very quick read. I'm going to talk about this later, but it's also a Newbery Medal winner. So this book is about Professor William Waterman Sherman, and in this book he talks about two different types of travel, and he says that all travel kind of fits into one of these categories, and one of them is quick, efficient travel where you have a destination and you're trying to get there, and you're trying to do so probably as quickly as possible. And the second category is you don't really have a set destination, and you don't really care about how long it takes. You're kind of just enjoying the journey instead of the destination. And hot air balloon travel fits under the second category. It's perfect for the second category, and that's what this book is about. So Professor Sherman is a professor, and he decides to spend an entire year in a hot air balloon. Now, this journey gets interrupted when a seagull pokes a hole into his hot air balloon, and he's crash landed into the island of Krakatoa. I think that's how you say it. Krakatoa. And this island is a volcanic island, and it's supposed to be unpopulated. No one's supposed to live there because of the volcano, and the volcano is so giant that if an explosion happened, it would destroy the entire island. And turns out people actually do live there, and Professor Sherman crash lands there and meets these people, and these people say that you can't tell anyone that we're living here. And it's all about Professor Sherman and his journey in the fictional land of Krakatoa. So I really liked this book. I ended up enjoying it a lot more than I expected to. And one thing that I think is that it was very easy to read in two different ways. One of the ways is because within the first couple of chapters, I was already hooked on, and it was easy to kind of breeze through, because it was so interesting and I kept wanting to read it, and I kept wanting to figure out. It was less of I kept wanting to figure out what happens next, and more of it was just fun to read. I didn't want to know what happened next. It's not suspenseful. I just it was just very enjoyable. And also, this book was very easy to read in the way that kids could enjoy it. You could read it to a really little kid, or a kid in elementary school could read it, but also adults could enjoy it, and everyone in between. I feel it's one of those books, especially because it's a Newbery Medal winner, and those books tend to be books suited for kids that adults can also read, which I thought was a really good thing about this book, because anyone can enjoy it, really. It's just one of those books. So one thing about this book is that I was going into it expecting an adventure, and it was an adventure book, but as I kind of read on, it kind of had this whimsical fantasy kind of feeling, and there was nothing really fantasy about it. There were no mythical creatures or superpowers or anything like that. I think it was just a vibe of the book and the style of the writing that gave off that kind of feeling. Yet there was no actual magic or anything like that. So I think this book might be good for you if you don't love fantasy that much. You could still enjoy this book, is what I'm trying to say. Another thing about this book is that I felt like it was very descriptive, and I really liked the writing style. It was like, obviously, since this book was written like way back in like in the 1900s, 1950s, 1950, 1940, I think that's when it was written. I'm pretty sure. There's a lot of kind of like language that is suited towards like older times. However, there's not that many words that we won't understand. Like, I pretty much understood the entire book, which is another good thing about this book. And I liked how descriptive it was with everything, especially with the island and like the inventions in the island and things like that. It was descriptive in a way that you can kind of feel what was happening and feel what the character was feeling, but it wasn't too descriptive in like visuals and things like that. I don't know if that makes sense. Like, it was descriptive in the way where you could like feel what like the vibe was, and you could feel what you're supposed to be feeling if you were actually in the island. But it's not very like visual, like you can see everything that's happening through the character's eyes. I feel like it was more towards like vibe. Does that make sense? I don't know if that even makes sense. So in this story, it wasn't like an actual like journey. It didn't happen during the time of the journey. It actually happened, so in the beginning of the story, it kind of tells you what happens at the very, very end, which is a ship finds Professor Sherman unconscious in the middle of 20 deflated balloons. It tells you that in the beginning. And basically, it's about this ship finding Professor Sherman and him going back and telling the story over again. And it kind of has that feeling when you're watching a TV show and the character, like a kid's TV show or something, and the character is telling a story and it like turns into a thought bubble over their head and like the scene comes up. It's like that kind of, because it starts from him telling the story slowly to the actual story. And then in the middle, it'll be like, okay, we're going to take a short break from the story, like a short intermission from telling the story or something like that. So it was very like interesting how the author wrote it that way. But also, I feel like one of the reasons that they wrote it that way is because it tells you in the beginning what happens at the end. So it kind of leads you to wonder what happened to make that happen. What happened to make Professor Sherman be unconscious in the middle of 20 deflated hot air balloons? And it makes you wonder and want to keep reading more. I feel like that might be why the author did it. And I thought that was really cool. It like made you want to read more, basically. So overall, I ended up very much enjoying this book. I don't think it's going to be like favorite enjoy, but I did really enjoy this book, and I loved kind of like the story that it took us on and the journey that we got to go on with it. And so yeah, I think that if you are any age and you want a kind of whimsical adventure story to read, this book is the book for you. Yeah, so that'll be the end of my book review. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. If you like this video, then leave a like and subscribe for more content like this. Happy reading! Yeah, that was weird. I was like... However, this gets interrupted when his hot air balloon... No. Sorry. And it was descriptive in a way that... There were also like... Sorry, I'm getting off track.